Hello everybody and welcome back to another edition of the Overdrive Files. We got some DC stuff to get into. I've sort of sat by for too long here listening to everybody talking about this thing, so I kind of have to throw my own opinion out here. But the last couple of days, this has been the talk of the town, at least on Twitter, that is, if you're a DC fan or pretty much comic book movie fan in general. I'm sure you've seen this somewhere. A lot of news outlets have been talking about this. But if you're not aware, the Harley Quinn show on DC Universe had a little clip. It was like a 2-minute clip or something like that of just these two guys that they made caricatures of. There's this redheaded guy wearing a Release the Snyder Cut shirt, and his friend here is wearing The Last Jedi is not canon. So this has been the talk of the town. People who are against the Snyder Cut are using this as like fuel to say that like Warner Brothers is not going to release it. This is proof. This is factual evidence that Warner Brothers wants nothing to do with the Snyder Cut. And, you know, there's some DC fans that are taking this as a positive, and, you know, they thought the joke was funny, and it's even turned into a charity campaign, you know, a charity cause for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, which the Snyder Cut movement has been a proponent for quite some time. And I bought one of these shirts. I thought it was a great cause, and I think it's funny, but it's not. At least I think the Harley Quinn show joke is funny, and it's not like in the little sketch that they're doing on this show. It's not like they're actually talking about the Snyder Cut or really like The Last Jedi. It's like they're sort of being just the like stereotypical like comic book fans, like people you'd hear in like a comic book shop, stuff like that. So it's just so funny to me that like people will like run with this as like, do you see Warner Brothers is not going to release the Snyder Cut? It's just ridiculous. And even one of the show's contributors here, where is it? Justin Halpern here, who works on the show. He says here, I can't stress enough how incredibly gifted, I think these are the two voiceover actors. Every week we throw them multiple characters to do, and they bring something unique and funny to each one. It's why we get to do shit like this. Film critic Drew McWeeny down here, those t-shirts, I mean, and sure, yeah, these are sort of pockets of fandom that are very vocal, and you know, film critics and showrunners are well aware of them. But anyway, Justin Halpern says here, we were sure we'd get a note, but it never came. Obviously sort of implying that like they thought they'd get a note from Warner Brothers. And this is kind of what makes me want to get into, like, people think that like the studio like mandated like this be injected into the show. And it's just like these DC Universe writers just having a fun comical gag. Mercury 214, obviously he's a Snyder Cut fan. I hope y'all seeing the love you're getting from the Snyder Cut fans. We'd love a redemption arc for this king. Justin Halpern, you folks are very good sports. This guy asks, did you or anyone had to ask Warner or Superior's permission to put this in the show, or you just did what you wanted? Justin Halpern here, we just did it and they never said anything, so we assumed they were fine with it. Again, proving the point that this is not like some narrative that like Warner Brothers or like Walter Hamada and the DC administration over there are like mandating this being put in. And I don't know, I just see people running with like, this further proves my point, that the Snyder Cut is dead. Warner Brothers wants nothing to do with the release the Snyder Cut movement or Zack Snyder having any more involvement with a DC movie. It's just ludicrous that people are using like basically like a Beavis and Butthead sketch from a cartoon show on a streaming platform that's pretty neglected from Warner Brothers entirely. Like, this streaming service doesn't even have like the Dark Knight trilogy or like, I mean, it has like one Superman movie on it. It has like Superman the movie, and the rest is just like animated stuff and Jeff Johns' Titans show. And I don't even know what's going to be happening to DC Universe, but it's just like what people decide to run with. It's just completely bizarre to me. But anyway, there was a little bit more news that sort of came out this weekend. I don't want to get into a ton of it, but I just wanted to shed some light on Kevin Smith sort of, I think he was doing like a live Instagram stream with, I don't know if it was a comicbook.com writer or somebody. He was being interviewed and he got into like a 10-minute long discussion about the Snyder Cut. And I mean, he goes into a lot of detail, the state of the cut, you know, whether it's, you know, with it being unfinished, you know, having heard about, I guess he was in discussion with some visual effects artists that worked on the Snyder Cut, and they saw all these storyboards, like some even being drawn by Jim Lee. And he gets into a lot of semantics about the state of the Snyder Cut. And, you know, that's something we don't know definitively what the state of it is, really. We know that Zack wants to do additional photography. And I think on Vero, he even confirmed that there are some sequences in it that aren't finished. And, you know, what really is finished when it comes to a filmmaker? It's like at some point you just have to stop and the movie is what it is, right? You know, look at George Lucas. I'm sure Star Wars was never finished in his eyes, and then we got the special editions, right? But yeah, so he gets into a lot of semantics about the state of the cut, and that's not really something I care for, but he's just really positive about, you know, Zack Snyder's vision and him finishing this thing, which I think is fantastic. And he's been sort of a proponent of this since, I don't know, since shortly after Justice League came out 2.5 years ago or whenever that was. So it's just awesome to see a guy like this and, you know, just pretty much in the full public eye. You know, the guy's interviewed all the time, you know, doing press around the world. And, you know, he has ties to Warner Brothers, even going back as far as to writing Superman Lives, which would have been an insane movie. You know, just hearing this guy tell stories is kind of what I love about him, regardless of like his quality of movies. But it's just awesome to have such a public voice trying to, I guess, you know, let Zack have a finished version of his vision of Justice League. So yeah, pretty interesting weekend. You know, it's, I guess like the last 2 or 3 weeks, it's like there's people, you know, trying to just further prove their point that on some like fan site that like the Warner Brothers doesn't want anything to do with it, when there's no actual proof that that's the case, you know, until like Warner Brothers or Walter Hamada or Zack Snyder himself comes out. It's like it's not going to stop. So, you know, nobody's going to believe some comic book fan website that Warner Brothers wants nothing to do with it. I don't know. But anyways, guys, leave your thoughts and opinions down below. What did you think of the Harley Quinn release the Snyder Cut guy that they put on there? You know, the whole charity campaign with the t-shirt. Are you going to buy a shirt? I bought a shirt. I'll probably have it in like a week or two. I'm not really sure when, but I'll wear it on here. But guys, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for future videos. I'm Rex Overdrive. I'll see you next time.